Qualitative assays of cations in water. Objective. Introduction. Materials and reactants. Methodology. Results. The objective of the practical lesson is to identify the presence of cations in water samples. Introduction. The qualitative assay of the determination of cations in water is based in the addition of some reagents capable to highlight their presence, the different reactions, and then we will quickly make their preliminary analysis. Materials and reactants. The following materials are required to do the assay: rack and test tubes, wood clamps, glass funnel, automatic pipette, filter paper, water sample issue, distilled water. Reactants. Cations research. For the research of calcium, we use ammonium chloride solution at 10%, ammonium hydroxide, and ammonium oxalate solution. For the research of magnesium, we use a solution of sodium diphosphate at 10%. For the research of ammonium, we use sodium hydroxide and the Nessler reagent. Finally, for the research of potassium, we use acetic acid and sodium cobaltinitrate solution. Methodology. Research of calcium. We introduce 5 ml of the problem water. Then add 5 ml of ammonium chloride at 10%, two milliliters of ammonium hydroxide, and a slight excess of a saturated solution of ammonium oxalate. If a white precipitate appears, it will indicate the presence of calcium. Research of magnesium. We filter the precipitated calcium assay, and the filtrate is then collected in a test tube. We add some milliliters of a solution of the sodium phosphate at 10% to the filtrate. The appearance of a white crystalline precipitate denotes the presence of magnesium. If in the previous assay we had not detected the presence of calcium, we would add the sodium phosphate without filtering first. Research of potassium. Take about 5 ml of the water problem and add a few drops of acetic acid solution to acidify the solution slightly. Then add a few milliliters of the sodium cobaltinitrate solution. The appearance of a yellow crystalline precipitate indicates the presence of potassium. Research of ammonium. In a very clean test tube to avoid interference, add a few milliliters of the water to be analyzed. Add 4 or 5 drops of hydroxide solution. And then about 3 or 4 drops of the Nessler reagent. A precipitate will appear, and depending on the color, it will indicate a higher or lower presence of ammonium. In investigation of calcium, the formation of a white crystalline precipitate denotes the presence of calcium. In the investigation of magnesium, the formation of a white crystalline precipitate denotes the presence of magnesium. In the investigation of potassium, the formation of a white crystalline precipitate denotes the presence of potassium. In the investigation of ammonium, a precipitate will appear, and depending on the color, from brown to yellow, it will indicate a higher or lower presence of ammonium.